Have you ever noticed how, in the heat of a conversation, when opinions clash and voices rise, there exists an invisible pull urging us to defend, to clarify, to amplify our perspective? It's a deeply ingrained instinct, this need to vocalize, to guard our place in the vast web of dialogue that binds us. But why? Why do we feel this compulsion? Consider this radical notion. Perhaps true power lies not in speaking, but in silence. At first glance, this idea may seem counterintuitive, almost paradoxical. In a world where eloquence is prized and the ability to articulate one's thoughts is often equated with intelligence, embracing silence as strength feels like stepping into shadow. Yet, as we journey into this reflection, I invite you to imagine silence not as absence, but as potent presence. Friedrich Nietzsche, a thinker who reveled in unraveling the complexities of human nature, once suggested that silence allows us to bear witness to our own depth. According to Nietzsche, spoken arguments often reveal more about our insecurities than our truths. Words can be fragile barricades hastily erected to cloak our doubts. He argued that in the cacophony of debate, we risk losing the essence of our ideas, distorting them in the rush to be heard and understood. Imagine a moment when someone challenges your core belief. The instinctive reaction is to leap into defense, a volley of words prepared to assert your correctness. Yet, what if instead you chose to remain silent? Such silence can be unsettling, yes, but it also creates space for reflection, for consideration, for the kind of introspection that is often drowned out by endless dialogue. It transforms the conversation, shifting the focus from reaction to introspection. In social interactions, confidence is often celebrated, but it can morph into arrogance, a subtle masquerade that convinces us of our infallibility. Silence, in contrast, requires humility, a quiet acknowledgement of our limits. This isn't a meek resignation, but a courageous acceptance of fallibility. When we choose silence, we invite curiosity and openness, rather than closure and conclusion. It's a pause that invites growth. Yet, society frequently equates silence with weakness. It's seen as a void, an absence of thought or opinion. But imagine a scenario where silence is a carefully chosen response. Consider stepping back in a meeting while colleagues jostle for voice. Initially perceived as withdrawal, this intentional quietness allows for deeper analysis, a more comprehensive understanding of the dynamics at play. It empowers us to see beyond the immediate to the underlying currents. Let's ponder. Is silence truly passive? Or does it possess a form of strength that words often cannot convey? Can choosing silence transform our interactions and enrich our inner world? As we delve deeper, keep these questions close. They are the keys to unlocking the transformative potential of silence, inviting a dialogue not just with others, but within ourselves. Silence, an ever-elusive muse in the symphony of life, bears a presence more powerful than any overt proclamation. Nietzsche, with his evocative musings, paints silence as an act of self-mastery, a testament to one's inner strength. He challenges us to ponder what lies beyond the cacophony of voices that fills our world. What might we find when we step courageously into the realm of quietude? Consider the stillness of a mountain at dawn. Its silence is not empty. It vibrates with an unspoken power, commanding respect and awe without uttering a single word. Nietzsche understood this. To him, silence was not about the absence of noise, but the presence of profound strength. It was a tool wielded by the Übermensch, the self-overcoming individual who rises above herd instincts and societal demands. Why, then, do we humans often flee from silence, feeling compelled to fill it with justifications and proofs of our worth? The psychology behind this urge is rooted in our deep-seated need for validation. From a young age, we are taught to seek approval, first from parents, then from teachers, peers, and society at large. Our identity becomes intertwined with this external feedback, creating an ever-present fear of silence, for it threatens to strip away the scaffolding of our social persona. But what if we dared to embrace the silence, to listen to its call rather than run from it? Within the serenity lies the opportunity to reflect and connect with our true selves, unshackled from the chains of external expectations. A practical step to this is weaving moments of silence into our daily routine. Begin with a few minutes of mindful solitude. As we retreat into this quiet space, we start to perceive its vastness, not as a void, but as a canvas for introspection and growth. This concept is starkly contrasted by the herd morality, which thrives on conformity. In a world where the cacophony of voices demands allegiance, the philosophy of the Übermensch invites rebellion, not as a destructive force, but as an evolution of self. The Übermensch rises above, embracing solitude and self-defined values rather than succumbing to the pressures of societal norms. Nietzsche's vision was not one of isolation, but of selective engagement, where silence becomes a strategic retreat and a source of strength, fostering creativity and insight. As we navigate the tensions between herd mentality and individual evolution, we must ask ourselves, are we brave enough to seek the silence within? With each embrace of solitude, we sculpt ourselves anew, transforming silence into a powerful presence in our lives. By letting go of the incessant need for approval, we become the architects of our fate, resilient and unyielding in a world that clamors for conformity. In the practice of embracing silence, we find liberation from the tyranny of noise. It's in this quietude that we learn the art of self-mastery, one deliberate step at a time, defying the gravitational pull of the herd. We rise, not in defiance of the world, but in acceptance of our authentic self. In the silence, we discover the profound truth that our worth is innate and does not require validation from others. Are you ready to listen to what your silence has to tell you? Silence is a curious thing, isn't it? Often overlooked in our cacophonic world, it holds a power and wisdom that is both mesmerizing and unsettling. As we wade deeper into its enigmatic waters, let us consider the dual nature of silence, where it emerges as both a weapon and a vulnerability. How can something so gentle cut so deeply or protect so subtly? Silence, in its essence, can be wielded as a weapon, a sharp blade that slices through the noise, leaving others in a state of unease or introspection. It becomes a fortress, a protective barrier against the relentless onslaught of expectation and judgment. Yet, it is also a chink in our armor, exposing us to vulnerability when we least expect it. It's a dance, a delicate balance, where one minute we stand invincible and the next utterly exposed. Friedrich Nietzsche, whose philosophy has shaped countless minds, offers us an intriguing lens through which to view this dichotomy. In his concept of the Übermensch, or Overman, he urges us to transcend societal norms, to rise above the constraints of the ordinary. What role does silence play in this transcendent journey? It is in the quiet moments that true introspection begins, where we challenge ourselves to hear our inner voice amidst the clamor of external demands. Silence becomes the canvas upon which we paint our authentic selves, free from the distortion of societal expectations. Consider for a moment the psychological impact of silence on those around us. Often, we speak to fill the void, fearing the weight of unspoken words. But what happens when we resist that urge? What happens when we let silence linger? It unsettles manipulators who thrive on power dynamics and control. In the absence of verbal cues, their leverage slips, their strategies falter. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting insecurities, forcing them to grapple with their own internal chaos. Imagine a social setting where silence takes the lead. While it's tempting to be the most vocal person in the room, strategic silence can be your greatest ally. By observing without interruption, you gain insight into others' motives and vulnerabilities. Isn't it intriguing how silence can strip away the facade, revealing truths that words often disguise? People reveal themselves in how they handle silence. Some fidget, others falter. This undressing of the soul, so to speak, dismantles defenses, creating a raw, honest connection. How then do we master this art of silence? Like a skilled chess player, we must cultivate an awareness of observation, timing, and unpredictability. By choosing when to remain silent and when to speak, we craft a narrative that captivates and commands respect. Silence becomes a strategic pause, an unexpected twist that keeps others on their toes. What reality is not shaped by the spaces between notes, the breaths between words? This journey into silence invites us to embrace stillness, to revel in the mystery of the unsaid. It challenges us to explore who we are when the world ceases to impose its noise upon us. Are we mere echoes of what is expected, or do we dare to be the architects of our own narrative? The answers may lie not in the clamor of our declarations, but in the subtle elegance of our silences. Let us leave perhaps a lingering question. In a world obsessed with the superficial, what could be more revolutionary than reclaiming our power through silence, through the deliberate choice to listen, reflect, and understand? As we traverse this uncharted territory, we find that the greatest revelations often arise from the quietest moments, where our true selves can finally whisper back to us. As we journey through the labyrinthine corridors of life, we find ourselves constantly bombarded by the cacophony of voices, societal expectations, personal doubts, the relentless chatter of the everyday. Amidst this noise, we often become mere echoes of what others want us to be. So, here's a question that lies at the heart of our exploration. What if we embraced silence as a tool for empowerment and self-transformation? Imagine silence not as an absence, but as a presence, a space teeming with potential. In this silence, empowerment unfolds not through domination of others, but through mastery of the self. It is here we begin to understand the profound control that can be cultivated when we choose when to speak and when to listen. Consider a moment when someone you deeply admired held a room with nothing but their silence. Was it not their quiet composure that commanded your attention, that left an indelible mark on your memory? Silence, when embraced, becomes a form of empowerment. For instance, think of the artist who retreats into silence, finding inspiration in the unspoken, or the leader who pauses, allowing others to fill the space, creating a collaborative symphony rather than a solo performance. This silence is an intentional act, not mere reticence, but an artful, deliberate engagement with the world. The path to personal mastery through silence is paved with the liberation from societal constraints. Society, with its myriad rules and expectations, often dictates every aspect of who we should be. Yet, when we dwell in silence, we cultivate a garden where our true selves can bloom, unfettered by the weeds of societal imposition. We become adept at discerning which voices are worth listening to and which are not. Passive silence, the kind born out of submission or fear, is markedly different from the active silence we aspire to. The passive silence is a shadow, dark and empty. It is the silence of acquiescence, of suppression, where words are swallowed and truths go unspoken. In contrast, the active silence of the Übermensch, the self-overcoming individual, is vibrant and full of life. This silence is a force of its own, a silence brimming with intention and strength. Reflect on moments in your life when silence has been an instrument of power rather than a sign of weakness. Have you ever felt the profound calm of choosing not to engage in meaningless disputes? Or experienced the clarity that comes when you decide to walk away from the noise, choosing the quiet path instead? This is the transformative power of silence. It can turn submission into authority. Our journey culminates in reflecting on how we might transform silence into a tool for living authentically. This means stepping beyond the roles prescribed to us and daring to listen to the inner voice that guides our true essence. Think of it as turning off the constant din of the world and tuning into the far subtler frequencies of our own minds and hearts. To live authentically, we must first unshackle ourselves from the chains of societal expectation. This doesn't mean disregarding society altogether, but rather existing within it while staying true to our core selves. It's about finding the courage to speak when it matters and the wisdom to remain silent when it doesn't. So, I leave you with this. Consider how silence figures into your own existence and the myriad ways it might serve as a catalyst for deeper understanding and growth. Beyond the expectations, beyond the noise, who are you when all is still? As you go forth, contemplating this silent revolution, know that within the quiet lies the most profound primal force, the authentic, unconstrained you.